What is up, everyone? Jill here with Whispering Willow Farm, and welcome back. I'm in my high tunnel today, and it is pruning day. So I'm pruning all my tomatoes, and you guessed it, I'm pruning all of my cucumbers. Now, I know for the backyard gardener, this might not be familiar. You probably have heard of pruning your tomatoes, but not a lot of people have heard of pruning cucumbers. I believe that this is make it or break it for your success, because there's a few different things when you prune your cucumbers. One, you have better airflow. We all know what that means, is you have less pest and disease. But then if you are growing vertically like I am here on this trellis, it's just jute twine, it's called the umbrella trellising method. Your plant's just gonna keep growing vertically and not growing bushy. You see a lot of people grow, cucumbers on cattle panels, and you only gotta grow about one on each side, and they are going crazy. And that's because they put off suckers, and those suckers also produce fruit. The bad thing is that every time there's a new sucker, that plant is redirecting all of its energy to now create another stem, another leader of that plant. That's actually not what you want. You want that main stem of your plant to be the plant that is producing all the appropriate fruit and putting its energy where it belongs. And so there's an easy way to do this. You go through on a weekly basis and you prune off all of those suckers. That way your plant's putting energy where it belongs, and it's just going to produce more cucumbers. So if this method is foreign to you, don't worry. It's a simple technique. It is not overwhelming at all. So I'm going to show you what to look for, how to do it, and how to implement this into your weekly routine. All right, so first things first, you want to find the main stem of your plant. All right, so this right here is your main stem. If you're unaware of your main stem or how to find it, y'all just go back to the very base, right? Go back to the beginning, if you will, and just take your little finger and trace that stem to figure out which is which. So here we have a few things. Off of your main stem, which we have right here, you're gonna notice a few things. You're gonna have your blossom that is fruit producing. You'll have a tendril. You'll have the main dominant leaf, which is right here. And then, much like with the tomato, those suckers grow in the armpit. That's the same thing. You see what's happening here is I've got a sucker that's growing, which is right here. And it's trying to produce blooms. That is not what I want. So what I'm gonna do is go through, pinch this off, and now my plant's not gonna keep bushing sideways and growing. It is literally gonna just keep going. All right, so let's look again. We have the armpit or the V of the plant. You have your fruit, you have your tendril, you have your main dominant leaf, and then what is this right back here? This would be that sucker at a really small stage. You just go through and you tear it off. So I can already tell just how bushy this is. Since I have all my cucumbers trained vertically, I know something's off, right? I have a sucker that's gone a little bit too wild because this is way too bushy. I shouldn't have any of this. So let's do a little bit of investigating. So here we have it. This is the problem. In the V of my plant, I do have my fruit. I've got my tendril back here. I've got my main leaf, and then this is that sucker that grew too long. And you'll notice it has already started to produce fruit, which means that's a good representation that, this plant was putting energy in places it didn't belong. And immediately look how it's opened this up. So if I had to guess, yep, there's some more over here as well. So go through, prune all this off. And now my plant has already opened up quite a bit. So when we started, we had a really bushy cucumber plant because all of those suckers were trying to produce. We talk about the importance of airflow, and how you achieve that is literally by going through and pruning. So you can already see here how much more open this plant is. So let's go through and let's do a few more. All right, so down here we had the V of our plant. We have got our little blossoms down here. We have our main dominant stem, which is right here. And then this right here is, what was that sucker? So you can prune even if they are bigger. Ideally, you want to get them when they're pretty small. But you cut it off, and look at that. We move up here, same thing. We had our tendril, we have our fruit, we've got our main stem, and then this right here is that sucker. So I just went through and pinched it off. All right, so the things you want to remember. One, find your main stem of the plant. That is going to be your base. And then you'll notice that each section you're going to have a blossom, which is a little bitty tiny cucumber. It's going to turn into the fruit. You're going to have a tendril, and you're going to have a main dominant leaf. And then in that armpit, you will find another sucker, another growth starting to form. That is what you want to prune off. It will always be in the V of your plant off of the main stem. And the only things you want to keep is that dominant leaf leader, the tendril, and the fruit producing blossom. Anything else you got to get rid of. So I hope this was helpful. Thanks for hanging out. I'll talk to you soon.